Okay, so I want you to picture a scenario, and I think we've all been there, right? Maybe even recently. You're at a dinner party, maybe a really critical meeting at work, the vibe is good, the flow is happening, and then there's this one person,
Oh, I know this person.
undeniably brilliant. I mean, sharp logic, lightning fast math, remembers every single statistic from a report 3 years ago. On paper, a genius.
The human calculator. The person who has the answer before you've even finished the question.
Exactly. But here's the thing, and I watched this happen just last week, like a car crash in slow motion. They are completely painfully out of sync with the room.
Out of beat.
They make a comment that is factually, logically 100% correct, and the entire room just goes ice cold. It's like they dropped a lead weight in the middle of a souffle. They're just off rhythm.
And that's what we're getting into today, isn't it?
It is. We are going to dive deep into why that happened.
It's such a fascinating phenomenon. It's this collective delusion we seem to have that high IQ, the ability to process information, it naturally equals high social awareness, the ability to understand people.
That's the assumption. We think if you can solve a complex differential equation, surely you can read the mood of a dinner table.
And that assumption is not just wrong, it's actually dangerous. These two traits, they're not just different. The material we're looking at today suggests they can often be contradictory.
They can fight each other. That feels counterintuitive. I always thought social skills were just a subset of intelligence. Like, if you're smart at everything.
You'd think so, but think about what raw intelligence, what IQ is actually measuring.
Okay.
It measures pattern recognition, abstraction, speed. It's a system built for clarity. It loves binary outcomes, right or wrong, true or false.
But social interaction.
Human connection, it's not clear, it's messy, it's full of contradictions.
So the brain that craves clarity looks at a messy emotional situation and tries to fix it.
It tries to solve it. It tries to impose order on the chaos. And that leads to this existential gap between intelligence and connection. We're going to draw heavily on Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus today to explain why being right so often leaves us lonely.
Okay, I'm intrigued, but I have to play the skeptic for a second. We're talking about office dynamics and dinner parties.
Right, the everyday.
Why are we bringing in French existentialists from the 1940s? I'm kind of struggling to see how Sartre helps me in a boardroom meeting.
That is a fair question. It feels like a stretch, I get it, but it's actually the key to the whole problem. Sartre had this concept of the situation.
The situation.
He believed that consciousness, your mind, your thoughts, it doesn't exist in a vacuum. It exists in a specific context.
So context defines truth.
Precisely. A fact that's stated out of context isn't just awkward. Sartre would argue it is, in a philosophical sense, untrue to the moment.
Wow.
If you don't understand the situation, the power dynamics, the unspoken tension, the history between two people, your intelligence becomes totally irrelevant.
So if I'm technically correct about a statistic, but I bring it up while someone is, say, crying, I'm not just being rude, I'm actually missing the reality of the moment itself.
Yes. You are failing to see the situation. You're operating in a vacuum of logic while everyone else is living in the reality of emotion.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But let's look at the symptoms, because I feel like I've seen this play out in real time. The smart person drops a fact bomb. Silence. But it's not the silence of awe, is it?
No, it's the silence of withdrawal. It's discomfort. The person says something that kills the conversation, not because it's profound, but because it's just inappropriate for the context. It's offbeat.
And the reaction from that smart person is almost always surprise, right? Or even indignation. They're thinking, my logic wasn't wrong. People are just being too emotional.
I'm right, so the problem has to be you. That is the default defense. But this is where we need to look at why they do it. It's not usually because they're trying to be jerks.
But it feels like arrogance. When someone corrects your grammar in the middle of a vulnerable story, it really feels like they're just showing off.
It does feel that way, but often it's actually fear. This is where we get into the shield of logic.
Sure.
For a high IQ person, logic isn't just a tool, it's a defense mechanism.
A defense against what?
Against vulnerability, against the unknown. Think about it. The brain loves what it's good at. If you are good at logic, you trust logic.
Right.
Logic has clear answers. It's clean. Social interaction is ambiguous. You can't prove you're right in a feeling.
That is very true. You can't put an equation on a vibe.
And that is terrifying for a brain that relies on certainty. So intelligence becomes a shield.
So if I focus on being logically right,
You don't have to question how you're impacting someone else emotionally. You don't have to deal with the messy, gray areas of human feelings. Sartre calls this a subtle avoidance of responsibility.
that's profound. So by sticking to the facts, I'm actually avoiding the responsibility of the relationship.
Yes, you are choosing the safety of data over the risk of connection.
But hold on, I have to push back again here. Isn't truth valuable? If I'm a manager and I see my team making a logical error that's going to cost us money, isn't it my job to correct them?
Of course.
If a bridge is about to collapse, I don't care about the engineer's bedside manner. I want the math to be right.
And that is the crucial distinction. If you are building a bridge, or doing open heart surgery, or trading stocks, yes, clarity is the priority.
Okay.
The objective reality matters more than feelings. But most of our lives and most of our leadership challenges, they aren't engineering problems.
They're people problems.
They're people problems.
So don't bring a scalpel to a hug.
Exactly. Don't bring a scalpel to a hug. If you treat a social interaction like a structural engineering problem, you might be right, but you will destroy the trust.
Let's talk about that destruction, because the source material mentions this concept of the efficient manager. That really resonated with me.
Oh, the efficient manager is a classic tragedy. Picture a leader who spots errors instantly, high processing speed.
Yep.
They correct mistakes immediately in the meeting. Logically, they're improving quality. They're doing their job perfectly.
But the result is a frozen room.
Yes. The room goes cold. No one offers new ideas because they're afraid of being the next error that gets spotted.
The truth has killed the psychological safety.
It has, and the manager is probably sitting there thinking, why is everyone so quiet? I just helped them. They lack the awareness of the force of their correctness. They don't see that their correction feels like an attack. And this brings in Albert Camus.
Okay, so Sartre gave us the situation. What does Camus add to this mess?
Camus warns against the type of intellect that thinks it has seen it all. He reminds us that the world doesn't operate like a math problem.
Right.
It operates on the absurd, on contradictions, unacknowledged emotions, and things that are just left unsaid.
The absurd, that feels right. Social life is absurd.
It is, and the mistake is thinking that if I can solve the logic, I've solved the human interaction. But people aren't equations to be balanced. When that manager corrects everyone, he thinks he's optimizing the system. But he's actually treating his team like variables, not like subjects with their own consciousness.
He's treating them as objects.
Exactly, and nobody likes being an object. We want to be met as equals. This is why the Stoics describe the social life of the hyper-rational person as right but lonely.
Right, but lonely. That's a bumper sticker for a lot of high achievers.
It really is, and the loneliness is specific. It's not usually a loud fight.
Right.
It's a silent withdrawal. People they stop inviting you. They stop sharing their real thoughts with you.
And then the smart person spins a narrative to protect their ego. I've done this. I'll think, oh, they just can't handle the complexity of my thought process. They're jealous.
The ego is a master storyteller, isn't it? I'm not lonely because I'm abrasive. I'm lonely because I'm advanced.
It's such a comforting lie.
It's a fortress. But inside that fortress, you're completely isolated. And here's the kicker. Society trained you to build that fortress.
What do you mean by that?
Think about school. Think about your early career. Who gets the gold star?
The person with the answer. The one who raises their hand first.
Exactly. The person who wins the debate. We reward visible intelligence grades, degrees, quick wit. We treat conversation like a zero-sum game. If I'm right, you must be wrong, and therefore I win.
It's debate mode as a lifestyle.
But life isn't a debate. And this leads to the existential crisis. If your intelligence is supposed to be a tool for navigating the world, but it leaves you stranded on an island of your own making, is it actually working?
This brings up Sartre's famous line, hell is other people. I feel like this is often misunderstood. I usually just use it when I'm stuck in traffic.
We all do. But Sartre didn't mean people are annoying. He meant that the gaze of other people, it forces us to see how we actually exist in the world. Other people are the mirror.
The mirror.
Yes. You can tell yourself you're a benevolent genius. But if you walk into a room and the gaze of everyone else reflects fear or annoyance or boredom, that is your reality.
Wow.
If the mirror says bully, you're a bully. And facing that reality, that is hell.
That's terrifying, because you can't control the mirror. You can't just argue the mirror into reflecting something else.
No, you can only control what you give the mirror to reflect. And this is where the distinction between safety and clarity becomes vital.
Break that down for me. Safety versus clarity.
Social life needs safety. If a smart person makes others feel unsafe or small with their intellect, people will retreat. It doesn't matter how clear or correct the smart person is.
Right.
If the environment is unsafe, intelligence is useless.
I love that. Social life needs safety, not just clarity. Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem. We have the shield of logic, we have the context blindness, and we have this societal trap of winning debates. What's the solution?
Well, the solution is not a hack. It's not 5 tips to fake empathy.
Thank goodness. I hate advice that says just smile and nod. It feels so condescending.
It is condescending, and the sources are very firm on this. It requires a fundamental existential shift in your attitude. It goes back to responsibility.
Start her again.
Start her again. You are responsible for the impact of your intelligence. If you are right, but you hurt someone, you have chosen to be a hurtful person. You can't hide behind the truth.
That is a tough pill to swallow. I didn't mean to hurt them. I was just stating facts. And Sartre would say, what? Too bad you chose to state facts that hurt.
Precisely. You are responsible for the outcome. The practical advice involves something called the pause.
I like practical. How does the pause work? Because my brain moves pretty fast.
It's about inserting a microsecond of existential questioning before you speak. Usually your default question is this true or is this correct?
Right, and if the answer is yes, I say it.
You have to change the algorithm. You have to ask, does this need to be said now? Who is this person in front of me? And the most powerful one, if I don't say this, what is actually lost?
If I don't say this, what is actually lost?
Try that one. Usually what's the answer?
Honestly, nothing. Nothing is lost. Just my chance to show off, or my need to scratch that itch of correcting the record.
Exactly. And then you ask, if I do say this, what's the cost? If the cost is that the other person feels small or stupid or unsafe, then silence becomes an ethical act.
That phrasing changes everything. Silence is an ethical act. It's not suppressing yourself. It's choosing not to weaponize your intellect.
Yes. It's shifting your definition of humility. We usually think humility means thinking less of yourself, like, oh, I'm not that smart. But the text argues for being wider.
Wider. What does that mean?
Expanding yourself to hold space for things that aren't logical emotions, contradictions, human frailty. It's accepting that the world contains more than just data. Can you sit with someone's story that doesn't add up mathematically, but it adds up emotionally? Can you hold space for their contradiction without needing to resolve it?
That requires a lot more confidence than just correcting them.
It does. It requires you to be secure enough that you don't need to win the interaction to feel valuable.
It changes intelligence from a weapon
Yeah.
into a platform.
That is the ultimate choice. Do you want to use your intelligence as a weapon to stand above others, to prove you're the knower and they're the known? Or do you want to use it as a platform for others to stand with you?
That is the difference between being the smartest person in the room and being the most valuable person in the room.
It is, and it solves that loneliness.
Yeah.
Because when you use your intelligence to support, to clarify with kindness, to build safety, people don't withdraw. They lean in.
So let's apply this to the manager we talked about earlier, the one who's freezing the room. If he makes this shift, what does he do differently?
Instead of saying, that's wrong, here's the error, he uses his processing speed to guide. Maybe he asks a question, walk me through how we got to these numbers. He uses his intelligence to help the team find the error themselves.
He keeps the safety intact.
He prioritizes safety over his own need to be the one who fixed it. He empowers the room. And ironically, that makes him a far more effective leader.
It's a paradox. By trying less hard to look smart, you actually become more effective.
And you stop being lonely because people want to be around you.
This has been a bit of a wake-up call for me. I definitely have that actually reflex. You know, it's like a dopamine hit to be the one with the obscure fact.
It is dopamine. Being right feels good biologically. Connection feels risky. But the payoff of connection is infinitely higher.
So, to recap for everyone listening, the confusion is thinking IQ equals social skills. It doesn't. Intelligence can actually block social skills if we use it as a shield to avoid the vulnerability of not knowing.
Correct. And society reinforces this shield, but the existential price is isolation. The way out is to take responsibility for your impact, not just your intent.
And to value safety over clarity when the situation calls for it.
Even when it's hard, especially when it's hard.
I want to leave you, the listener, with a final challenge today. It's a tough one, especially if you pride yourself on your sharp mind. The next time you walk into a room or a meeting or a dinner party and you feel that surge of, I know the answer, or they're wrong, take that pause.
Ask yourself the question.
Ask yourself, do you want to be the person who is always right, or the person people feel safe to be wrong around?
Because you can't be both.
Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Until next time.